Your kitchen drain is slower than it was 2 years ago. Not blocked, just slower. The water sits a moment before it goes. And somewhere in the pipe below your sink, a solid mass has been building for years, out of things you poured down there without a second thought. My name is Takumi Sato, and today I am giving you 11 things that go down an American drain routinely and never go down a Japanese one. The 11th is the reason Japanese kitchens have a piece of equipment sitting in the sink that most American kitchens do not. Before we start, the mechanism that explains 9 of the 11. When warm fats, oils, and grease go down a drain, they are liquid. A few feet along the pipe, where the water has cooled, they are not. They congeal against the pipe wall, and they stay there. That layer then catches everything else that passes. Coffee grounds, food particles, hair, fibers. Each thing that sticks makes the surface rougher, and a rougher surface catches more. The process is self-accelerating, which is why a drain goes from fine to slow to blocked rather than degrading evenly. Water utilities have a word for what this eventually produces in the sewer system. They call them fatbergs, and the large ones have to be removed by hand with picks over a period of weeks. Your household version is smaller and works identically. Number 11. Cooking oil and grease. This is the largest single cause of drain problems and the one people are most casual about, because hot oil pours like water and gives no indication of what it becomes. A single pan of bacon fat, or the oil poured off ground beef, or the residue rinsed from a roasting tin, is enough to start a layer. Running hot water afterward does not solve it, it just moves the problem further down the pipe to where the water has cooled. In a Japanese kitchen, oil never approaches the sink. It is poured into a container to cool and solidify, then discarded with the burnable waste. Small amounts of residue are wiped from the pan with paper before the pan is washed. That wipe is the habit worth adopting above everything else in this video. It takes 5 seconds, and it removes the vast majority of what would otherwise go down. Number 10. Coffee grounds. People treat these as harmless because they are small and they are organic. They are also dense, they do not dissolve, and they clump when wet. Grounds that reach a pipe with any grease already in it stick to it immediately, and they are one of the most common things plumbers find at the center of a kitchen blockage. Into the bin, or into a compost, or spread thin into a garden bed, never down the sink. Number 9. Rice and pasta. Both continue absorbing water and swelling long after cooking. Rice in particular can expand considerably, and a small quantity that lodges somewhere in a pipe becomes a much larger quantity within hours. The starchy water is a separate problem. It carries fine starch that settles out along the pipe and forms a paste, which then catches other debris. Drain your pasta water through a strainer and scrape the pan rather than rinsing it. Number 8. Flour and batter. This one is nearly self-explanatory once you consider what flour and water make. Rinsing a mixing bowl sends flour into the pipe where it meets water and does exactly what it does on your counter. It becomes paste, then it hardens. Scrape the bowl into the bin first, always, then wash. Number 7. Eggshells. The disposal myth is doing the damage here. A great many people believe eggshells sharpen disposal blades, which is not how a garbage disposal works at all, since it has no blades. It has impellers that fling material against a grind ring. Eggshells break into small hard fragments with membrane attached, and both settle in traps and bind with grease into a concrete-like material. Compost them or bin them. That detail is the kind of thing people write to me about, saying they rewatched the same video 3 times to catch it. So I put every method into the Complete Japanese Method guidebook. It's a small one-time amount, less than 1 bottle of the cleaning products it replaces, and it saves you from buying more of them. Kitchen, bathroom, laundry room, bedroom, exact steps for each. It's at thejapanesemethod.com, first link in the description, and pinned at the top of the comments. Grab it before your next shop. Number 6. Produce stickers. Small, plastic, and almost universally overlooked. Everyone that goes down a drain enters the wastewater system and does not break down. Water treatment facilities report these as a genuine and constant nuisance, because they are too small to screen efficiently and too numerous to ignore. Peel and bin before washing produce. Number 5. Hair. This one belongs to the bathroom rather than the kitchen, and it is the single most common cause of bathroom drain blockages. Hair does not dissolve. It tangles into a mat, and that mat catches soap residue, which binds it into a solid plug. A drain hair catcher costs very little and removes the problem entirely. Japanese bathrooms have these as standard fittings rather than as an accessory. Number 4. Wipes labeled flushable. The labeling here is genuinely misleading, and water utilities across the world have said so repeatedly. These wipes are made from synthetic fibers that do not break apart in water the way toilet paper does. They pass the toilet, reach the sewer, and combine with grease to form the core of most large sewer blockages. The same applies to dental floss, cotton buds, and cotton pads. All of them are fiber that holds together and catches everything passing. Only 3 things belong in a toilet: human waste, toilet paper, and water. That is the complete list. Number 3. Medication. This one is about what happens downstream rather than about blockage. Wastewater treatment is not designed to remove pharmaceutical compounds, and a range of them pass through and enter waterways. This has been measured repeatedly, and the effects on aquatic life are an area of ongoing research. Most pharmacies operate take-back programs, and many police stations have collection boxes. Both are free, and both take about the same time as walking to the toilet. Number 2. Paint, solvents, and chemicals. Paint solidifies in pipes, which is the obvious problem. The less obvious one is that solvents, thinners, and strong cleaners pass through treatment and enter waterways, and some of them damage the bacterial cultures that treatment plants rely on to work. There is also a household safety point. Mixing cleaning products in a drain, particularly anything containing bleach, with anything containing ammonia, produces toxic gas in an enclosed space beneath your sink. That has sent people to hospital. Household hazardous waste collection exists in most areas, and it is usually free. And number 1, the thing Japanese kitchens never allow near a drain, and the reason for the equipment I mentioned at the start. Solid food waste of any kind. Not scraps, not particles, not the bits rinsed off a plate. In a Japanese kitchen, nothing solid is permitted to enter the drain at all, and the sink is fitted to make that easy, rather than requiring vigilance. Japanese sinks have a corner strainer basket, a removable mesh basket sitting in the drain opening, and most households line it with a disposable mesh bag. Everything solid collects there. At the end of the day, the bag is lifted out, tied, and binned, and the basket is rinsed. That single fitting is why the whole system works without anyone thinking about it. There is no moment where you have to decide whether something is small enough to rinse away, because nothing goes down regardless. American kitchens generally have either a flat strainer with large holes, which stops only the biggest pieces, or a garbage disposal, which is where the philosophies diverge most sharply. I want to be fair about disposals, because they are not useless. They grind material fine enough to pass a pipe, and in a home with modern plumbing and a treatment system designed for it, they work. Here is the part worth understanding. A disposal does not remove the food from your plumbing. It makes it smaller and sends it down anyway, where it meets whatever grease is already in the pipe. The Japanese approach removes the material from the system entirely. If you have a disposal, use it for what genuinely cannot be avoided, rather than as a general disposal route, and never put grease, coffee grounds, rice, pasta, eggshells, or fibrous vegetable material through it. There is a 12th worth mentioning that sits slightly outside the list because it is seasonal. Turkey fat, ham drippings, and roasting juices at the holidays cause a measurable spike in sewer blockages every year, and water utilities in many cities run public campaigns about it specifically because the pattern is so consistent. If you cook one large roast a year, that single pan holds more grease than months of ordinary cooking. Let it cool in the tin, lift the solidified fat out, and bin it. Now, 3 habits that go alongside the 11. Now, 3 habits that go alongside the 11. The first is the pan wipe, and I am repeating it because it does more than any other single change. Before a greasy pan goes to the sink, wipe it out with a paper towel or a used napkin and bin the paper. 5 seconds, and it removes most of what would have coated your pipe. The second is hot water at the end of the day. Boil a kettle and pour it slowly down the kitchen drain once a night. That does not remove an established blockage, and anyone telling you it does is overselling it. What it does is keep a thin, fresh layer from setting, which is genuinely preventive. The third is a monthly maintenance treatment that costs almost nothing. Half a cup of baking soda down the drain, followed by half a cup of white vinegar. Let it work for 15 minutes, then flush with a full kettle of boiling water. I want to be honest about that one too. The fizzing reaction is largely mechanical and modest, and it will not clear a serious blockage. What it does reasonably well is address odor and light residue on a drain that is still flowing. Treat it as maintenance rather than as a repair. If your drain is already slow, the thing that actually works is physical removal. A drain snake costs very little, and for a bathroom sink or shower, pulling the trap under the sink and cleaning it by hand takes about 20 minutes with a bucket underneath. That is unpleasant work, and it solves the problem in a way no poured product will. And a word on chemical drain cleaners, since people reach for them first. They are caustic, they can damage older pipes, and if they fail to clear the blockage, you now have a pipe full of caustic liquid that a plumber has to deal with. Most plumbers will tell you they would rather you called before using one than after. One more thing about the strainer basket, since it is the piece of equipment this whole video points toward. They are inexpensive, they fit standard American sink openings in most cases, and the disposable mesh bags that line them cost very little for a large roll. If your sink has a garbage disposal, a basket still fits over the opening, and you simply lift it out when you want to use the disposal for something. The habit takes about a week to become automatic, and after that you stop thinking about what goes down the drain entirely, because nothing does. So there are your 11. Cooking oil and grease, coffee grounds, rice and pasta, flour and batter, eggshells, produce stickers, hair, flushable wipes and cotton products, medication, paint and solvents, and solid food waste of any kind. If you want a simple rule that covers all of them, it is this. If it will not dissolve in a glass of water on your counter, it will not dissolve in your pipe either. None of these habits took hold in American homes because anyone was careless. Every one of them made sense the first time somebody did it. The disposal was installed to handle food, so food goes in it. Hot water dissolves grease in the pan, so it must dissolve it in the pipe. The wipe says flushable on the packet. Each of those is a reasonable inference from available information, and each is wrong. The Japanese versions are not harder. They are built so that nothing has to be decided, which is why the strainer basket matters more than any amount of discipline. Start with the pan wipe tonight, and buy a sink strainer basket and a drain hair catcher this week. Together they cost very little, and they handle most of this list without you having to remember anything. Tell me in the comments which of these 11 you have been doing, and whether your kitchen drain has started running slow. I read every single one. I will see you in the next one.